Alright guys, now we are going to do lesson 6 and lesson 7. Let's get it. Almost there, don't give up. I also want to give up now, but like I'm almost there. Please. Ish.
In the previous lesson, we saw that when they use the types in the first number and then the operator, then these are stored in the memory of the computer. And then when they use the types in the second number, then that appears on the screen. Now what happens next is when the user hits the equals to button, then the second number is also stored to memory and then the operation is carried out. So in the case of our example, the 15 and the 10 will be added up, and then the answer will be output to the screen. And that's how all the operators will work. But then there's one other thing that also takes place behind the scenes that we cannot see, and that is all the current values are reset. That means the 15 and 10 are set to 0, and the operator is set to a blank. This is the calculator for the next operation. Now we can start typing the event handler for the equals to
for
button.
like 1 minute 90
Here I've
seconds.
already declared the function,
But
and
I was
I've called
explaining.
it equals button pressed. I've put in a comment there. I'm going to start off by declaring a new variable.
Okay, on line 72. Whoa, like, whoa. Okay, what happened? Okay, I think we also here we have like a personal comment. Enter. Okay, let's add the comment. He added comments, so in line 57 also press button, new line through. So we, wow, sorry about that. That's line 54. How? Hey, let's just type, guys. Event. Procedure the function current line through, and then after this we'll just say enter, and then another enter. Then let's add a comment. Event and for e equals to button enter function equals etn pressed. Okay, let's do this. Enter and then another enter. We'll create a variable.
Now I'm going to call this one value 2, and I'm going to assign it a value, and that value is going to be whatever is currently stored in the output screen. So the first thing I'm going to do, remember, is that this is going to need to be a number. So I'm going to in statement. And then I'm going to pull in the value that's stored inside input box. Get element by ID. Okay, let's double check this. Value 2 is.
So I have to. And then inside that, I think we'll create another. Okay. A shift. And then don't forget the quotation mark input. It's input box, right? And outside we have also value and then semicolon Control S.
Is equal to parse int. We've got our open bracket, we've got our close bracket, document dot get element by ID, open bracket, close bracket, open double quotes, close double quotes, input box spelled correctly, dot value. So what's going to happen here? Whatever value is in the input box of our calculator will be converted into a number and then stored inside value 2. Then I'm going to create another variable and I'm going to call this guy final total. Now there's no secrets about what's going to be stored in here. It's going to store the final total after the operation is done. Now the question is, what operation will we actually do on this code, on these numbers? The operation will be based on whatever operator the user had typed in. And how are we going to know what operator the user had typed in? We're simply going to look at this variable, current operator. Remember in the previous function, in the event handler for the operator buttons, whatever the user had clicked, whatever operator the user had clicked was stored inside current operator. So now we need to interrogate what value is stored inside there and then conduct the appropriate operation. We're going to do this using the switch statement. So we're going to use the switch to interrogate current operator, put in our curly braces, and then we put our cases. So we start with case plus, and then put in the colon. Now remember to put in all the correct syntax when you are typing. Switch, open brackets, the name of the variable, the curly braces, and then inside the curly braces of the switch, the case and the operator in double quotes, followed by the colon. If you miss out any one of these, then your code will give you bugs. Okay. If there's a plus, what do? We set final total to value 1.
Wait,
remember?
What am I left to the control Z? Control Z, okay. Enter. It's final total equal value 1.
That was the first value that the user had typed. We stored that inside value 1 plus value 2. And then we break. Okay, so we've got the final total. And now we're going to bounce to the end of the case statement. What do we do here? Now here is where we output the value that's stored inside final total. And we do that by using document.getElementById. I should really copy and paste this. equal to final total. Okay, so the value that's stored in final total will be stored into input box. In other words, it will be output into the screen. Now the last thing we're going to do is to add the event for this into the equals to text with the screen. Now the last thing we're going to do is to add the event for this into the equals to tag. So I'm going to just copy the name of this function. Is to add the event for this into the equals to tag.
Okay, let's go to this equals. Let's copy all of this. Control C.
So I'm going to just copy the name of this function and find the equals to tag. There we go. It's the TD there.
The TD, okay. Okay, here is the equals to tag.
And I'm going to give it an event on.
Giving it an event.
Click is equal to
Control V.
And inside there we paste in the name of the function. So let's take a look at this very carefully. On click is equal to open double quotes, close double quotes, and inside the double quotes the name of the function followed by the brackets. If you leave the brackets out, this code won't work. Okay, let's test this out in the browser before we actually add the code for the other operators.
Okay, Control S, just to make sure, you know. When it comes to this browser, it kills my eyes. I should try like setting up dark mode for Chrome.
Now back in the browser, let's try a sum. 15 plus 10.
Okay, let's refresh. 15 plus 10
is equal to 25. Fantastic. So we can see that our end-to-end operation with an addition actually works. Now what we need to do next is to add the code for the rest of the operators. Okay, so I've added the code for you for the remainder of the operators. Subtract.
Which let's come back here because okay.
Action, division, and multiplication.
Switch operator.
For the remainder of the operators. Subtraction, division, and multiplication. Now,
before you say now, let me just go add what you just added so I don't get confused. What we will do, take my laptop off the charger. Control C. and then after that Control C, enter. 1 2 3. Okay. Control V, enter. Control V, enter. Control V. You see what I did? I came here to switch and then I copied this and like I'm pasting it now. I want to add for the minus the division and also multiplication. So we are going to minus the first one. We'll focus on the second case, of which we will remove that addition here on the second case, and then we'll put a minus, and also here the values will put a minus, and then also here followed by a division, and then we'll put a division sign here, and then also here followed by a multiplication sign, shift star, don't forget, and also here shift and then press star. So yeah, I think this is it. And now let's save, Control S. Let's hear what he has.
There's something you have to be very, very careful about, because my code as it stands actually has a bug, and a very serious bug at that. Now if you go through the syntax, you won't find that bug, but you're going to find that bug right here inside the double quotes. Now this is one of the types of bugs that are the hardest to find. Now so you may look at this and say, well, what's wrong with it? It looks fine. But let me show you what's wrong here. By going to the HTML,
he
where we are actually
let's save it and check this bug.
The event handler for the operator button. Now when I go up to my HTML, I'm going to find the line where the multiplication sign is being displayed. Now in that line, I'm calling the operator button pressed function, and I'm passing it a parameter. But look at the parameter I'm passing it. It's not the x, it's not the lowercase x, it's the asterisk sign. But here, coming back to the equals to event handler, I'm checking if the current operator is an x and not an asterisk. Now this is going to return a serious error, and you're going to have a nightmare trying to find what's the source of that error. What we need to do is to make them both asterisks or x's. Go with one of the two. So I'm going to change it to an x, and I'm going to keep in sync with everything else that we've been doing. We've got an x there, so we'll output an x there, or we'll pass an x there to the function, and then we'll keep this x exactly as is. Now these are very, very serious.
Okay, so what it did, okay, should we do what it did? Okay, let's just do what it did. Okay, let's just put x here, but I was comfortable with the star one, but like if it gets a bug, I'll know how to fix it. Let's go back to our star, and also let's see,
sync with everything else that we've been doing.
Okay, now let's use this as, and then we are going to leave this value as an actual star.
Decide on a unified naming strategy for all of your variables, and also a unified format for the parameters that you are passing. Okay, one last thing to do, and that is to declare value 1, or to reset value 1. We'll set that to 0, and we'll reset the new line variable to true. Now this is preparing our calculator for the next operation. Now let's hit.
Okay, let's put a semicolon and then enter. Say new, new line is equal to true.
Get to the browser and test this. Now back in our browser, let's
Control S, let's go test it. Wait, cancel. Let's refresh. Yeah.
Try each of the operators. 2 times 3 is equal to 6. Perfect. Now let's try
2 times 3 is equal to 6. Alright.
Subtraction.
10 minus
6 is equal to 4. Fantastic. Addition. Although we've tested it, but for completeness, let's do it again. 12 plus 8 is equal to 20. Fantastic. And then finally, division. 15 divided by 5 is equal to 3. Awesome. Now our calculator is ready. All we need to do now is to add some styling.
As I said, I will also do lesson 7 here, so I can just finish. It's almost 7, guys. Yeah. Okay, let me just do the styling and then I can rest. I'll see you guys after this episode. I'll see you on Monday.
Okay, so we have one last step left in creating our app, and that is to make it look smart with style sheets. Now, before we actually get into the CSS of this app, let's take a look at what the finished product will look like. Now, as you can see here, the input box has a very dark gray. The digits have a medium gray, and notice the text color, it's white. The operators and the equals to are all in orange, and the AC button has its own color. Now, because these are all identical in their styling, we will put them all into a class. In the same way, because the operators are all very similar, we will put them all into a class of their own, and then we will style the classes. As far as input box and the AC button, since these are on their own, we'll keep them separate from the rest. Let's get started with some CSS. I will start by taking a look at our HTML and adding the classes and IDs where necessary. Starting at the top, when we look at input box. Now remember, input box already has an ID that we can reference from our CSS. So there's no real need to add a class for it. We'll simply call it by its ID and we'll style it according to the ID. Next, the digit buttons. Let's start with the topmost digit button, which is the 7. And we'll give this a class is equal to, not surprisingly, digit button. Now we'll do the same for each of the digits going down. I'm going to leave it to you to do that. And then when it comes to our
digit button, then we are going to close it. Control S, let's save, and then let's check. We'll do the rest in it. Let's just check the.
We'll also give them a class.
Cool. Also here we'll give them. Let's just give them the class. operator button.
Class is equal to operator button. Class is equal to digit button. Now I'm going to add this to all of the remainder operators and digits.
Okay guys, let's just copy this. Control. You know what, to make it easier, let's just even copy the space. Control C. And then here, Control V, you see? Also here, Control V, you see? And then come here, Control V. And then also come here, Control V. Come here, Control V. Skip the operators. Let's come here, Control V. Also come here, Control V. So come here, Control V. And then scroll. We almost there. I'm not sure. Should we do it here? But like I'll see, you'll see. And then let's go up and copy our operator. Okay. Remember, let's also copy the space as well to save time. Control C. Then let's come here, Control V. Put it exactly, Control V. Don't have a double space. Make sure you don't have a double space. Okay, let's see. Operator class button is here. Wait, on the equal side. Wait, we do have an operator here also. This is a digital button, by the way. Okay. Control C, and then we'll come here, and then Control V. Okay, that's a button. Clock digital. Okay, let's see. And then as for the AC, he doesn't show his AC. Oh, it does on clock. He didn't do anything on the AC. He did something though here, which is an operator button as well. So let's do this. Control V. We have okay. And then yeah, let's just save. Control S.
And there we go. So I've added the class to each of my digit buttons and the operator buttons. So if you look at the digits 7, 8, 9, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, and 0. And the operator buttons, multiplication, subtraction, addition, and division. Finally, we're going to add a class to the AC button.
Okay. Good thing we didn't touch the AC button. Let's add a class equal to inside. It's gonna be an AC button.
And that's it. So all our elements now have their classes and IDs. What remains is to get into our style sheet and to start styling them. Now, looking at our style sheet, you can see that I started by adding a selector for the table element.
Okay, let me add a selector too. I understand why it does this, to save time. And me on my side, I'm just doing this for people who will be confused. Hey, he skipped a step. Hey, I don't know how he did it. You see, that's why I'm here, to to 3 and text align shift. We have center. Don't forget the semicolon, guys. And then we have border. Border slash.
So I'm starting out by styling the table itself. Now I'm not going to delve too deep into the CSS because, of course, having done our previous modules, you are quite tuned up with the CSS. You're quite clued up with what each of these stands for. But I'm going to give it a quick description nonetheless. All right, so we've given the table an overall foreground color of white. Text align, we've set it to center, collapse the borders, and we've given it a font that is normal 3 EMs in size, Arial or Helvetica or any sans serif. Now let's test this in the browser. So we'll save it. I'm just going to save my HTML, which I forgot to save earlier on, and head to the browser.
I think I did.
Okay, in our browser.
I think I did. I did save here. Did I? Control S. I always save. Sure.
This is what our calculator started out like. Let's refresh. And there we go.
Okay.
Things are already starting to take shape. Somewhat. Next, I'm targeting the TRs and the TDs. So basically, in general, every row and every column will be.
Okay. TR. Six point 02 pH. Enter. Background. Don't forget my grave. Thank you. Background slash color. Okay, the H. It's even dinner time. I've been sitting here since 5. I think so. Okay, G4. That's D, right? Not E. Okay. So 49.4. So let's double check. Okay. And then we say enter into TD shift, and we will add our width, which is going to be 25, EW and enter border 1 pixel solid. Yep. Okay.
And okay, I've given it a height, the TRs, the rows, a height of 16.02 VH. Now, if the VH unit is actually a proportion, it's a percent. So what this means is we're giving each row a height of 16% of the vertical height of the window. So whatever the size of the window, each row will be 16%. Now the reason we're going with 16% is because if we look at our app, you can see that it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 separate rows. Now 100 divided by 6, it gives you roughly 16.66667. So what we did is that we simply rounded it off to 16.02. That gives us the best results. We've given it a background color. As you can see, the color pops up there. So that's the general background color of each of the rows. Obviously, the buttons that goes into the rows will all have their own colors. As far as the columns goes, we've given it 25 VW, which is vertical width. So this means 25% of the vertical width. Now you can guess based on my description of the rows why we gave this the value of 25, because looking at the calculator, we've got at most 4 columns. So each of the columns is a quarter, or is going to be a quarter of the actual viewport width. So a quarter in percent is 25%. And finally, we've given the columns a border of 1 pixel solid, and we've given it the same border color as the background color of the rows. Let's save this and refresh it in our browser. Back in our browser, we refresh and we can see things are already starting to take shape. Now let's test this window to see if it's indeed responsive. So as I reduce the size of the screen, you can see that the buttons are resizing themselves very nicely. Now we already have a responsive layout here. Now taking a look at that input box simply looks terrible. So let's style that guy next. Now you can see in my style sheet, I've already added the styling information for the input box.
Okay, let's add the styling information. Roll online 16, let's hit enter. Okay, and then we'll say hash input box. Make sure your spelling is correct. It's the same as the one on the index on the calculator HTML. And then we're gonna put our curly bracket, background color, okay, still the same, shift, just gonna say tab, so that's the same one, and then text align, let's add a text align. Okay, just press tab, there's a text align there, so say right tab, okay, enter. We will have our width is 100%, 100%, and then enter. We'll have font size and our font size is going to be 2em, and let's have our color, shift #123 and semicolon, and we will have our border 0 pixels. Okay,
given it a background color.
Let's say
text align is set to right. The width is set to 100%, meaning the input box will take up 100% of the width of the row that it appears in. The font size is set to 2em. The color of the font is set to white, and the border is set to 0 pixels because we simply don't want this input box to have its own border. Now I just want you to pay attention to the hash input box here. Remember, we're not using a dot because this is an ID, not a class that we are referencing here. Okay, let's save this and head off to the browser. Back in our browser, we refresh, and there we go. Input box is starting to take shape. The final part of our styling is really so simple, we don't need much of an explanation. All we do is that we put in.
Now let's add the final part of our styling. Full stop, digit, capital letter B on button, and then curly brackets, enter. Okay, we are going to have a background color of HFF9E06. Say enter, and then okay, clearly we don't need a space here, and then that's a digit, and then enter, full stop, operate. Make sure your spelling is correct, guys. Operator, button, add a curly brackets, and then background color. We will have, wait, that's operator button that has a background color of this. So let's do this. Okay, let's remove this on the digital button. Okay, it's hash 807E80. Okay, and then after we're done with that, and enter, we'll put a full stop, and then we'll style our AC button now. AC button, shift, curly brackets, enter, the background color, and it's going to be hash 65, 61, 65. Let's save it. Control S.
The selectors for each of the classes that we created, digit button, operator button, and AC button, and we assign colors to them. Now these are the hex codes for each of the colors that we are going to use. Okay, so once you put this into your style sheet, simply save it, and let's refresh it in our browser. Back in the browser, we refresh, and fantastic. Our calculator is now.
My equal is not, and also, okay, let's go check. my equal is not orange. Wait, let's check. The times minus plus. Control C. My equal. I didn't add a class here. Control V. Let's see. It's equal divide. It's equal and divide. Okay. I said digital button. Okay, let's try and remove person divide. Let's Control V, Control S, and then there we go.
Complete. Now let's see what this looks like in responsive mode. As I'm reducing the size of the window, you can see that the calculator is responding to the size of the screen. So no matter what the size of the device your user will be looking at this calculator in, it will always very beautifully resize itself to the size of the device window.
So yeah, I think we are done, guys. In the last lesson. I will see you in week 6. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Yeah, let me upload it now. Did a good job. Save your project. Control S. Save your style also. And then yeah, we'll meet again.